Okay, we're within the first hour of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and it looks like the stock market is upset with Seplat Petroleum reporting earnings per share that fell below 2017 numbers. We'll get to that in a minute. But Seplat shares is now below 600 naira reading. That's a very negative way to put it. But let's just hang in a bit there. We'll go to Temple Ashaju in a few minutes to take us through that. But the market is looking red as we speak, 0.21%, because Seplat and Dangote Cement, the biggest in oil and gas and the biggest in cement companies on our market, all in negative, both in negative territory this morning. But let's spend some time and go down to the FMDQ exchange place where Olusayo Namdi of Zcrest Capital, who's in charge of FX and fixed income strategy and analysis, is joining us via Skype. Thank you very much, Olisa, for coming through. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, boss, and thank you for having me.
A very interesting week we're looking at. We finished last week with Treasury yields around 14%. Then yesterday, I'm looking at 13.5, 13.6 on average.
All right, so the Treasury bills market, we've seen in the previous week, like you said, we've been seeing renewed interest in the market, mostly from foreign portfolio investors. But sentiments in the market yesterday were quite a little more quiet because the central bank intervened with an OMO auction. But what we witnessed notably in that regard is that the central bank has stopped offering the long tenor. It didn't offer the long tenor bill, that's the 364-day tenor, on Monday, and didn't offer that tenor on Tuesday as well. We still saw decent subscriptions for the OMO auction, with about 28 billion on the 100-day offered and about 148 billion on the 192-day offered. The rates were kept at 11.90% on the 100-day bill offered, but rates moderated further on the 192-day. From 13.48% it cleared on Monday. It cleared at 13.45% yesterday. And all subscribers were not actually filled. Witnessed a little cut in the volume subscribed. Okay, but the market was...
Yes, so I was just going to ask, what's biting the market or what's biting investors at the moment? Is there anything they're thinking of, or is it just the usual market behavior? Sometimes it grows a little bit cold, sometimes just a bit lukewarm or tepid, then sometimes it's really hot.
All right, so the thing is, last week the market was real hot. As political risk cleared, we saw an influx of foreign portfolio investors. If you check the turnover at the investor and exporters window, they reached all-time highs, as high as $1.8 billion on Friday. That was what rallied the long tenor bills down to as low as 13%.
Okay. Yeah, but the INE window is just about less than $100 million yesterday.
Yeah, so it just cooled off, but it doesn't suspend the fact that we've been seeing increased offshore inflows into the market, and we've seen the rates at that market being subdued around 360 naira to the dollar now.
Okay, so what's the outlook for the rest of the week where we are today? Midweek? Give us a view.
All right, so for the rest of the week, we think that there will still be interest in the market. We still think there will be demand. What we are seeing now is that for bond yields, which were slightly higher yesterday, we've seen them compress lower today. And what we see is that investors are quite cautious trading bonds at current levels. We've seen them not willing to go so far below 14%. So that 14% levels for bonds remains a support in the near term. For T-bills, we've seen yields retrace slightly on the long tenor bills. The game changer for T-bills will be what CBN does at the OMO auction tomorrow. They would normally offer 3 tenors and the longer tenor at the OMO auction. But if they don't do that, then we'll see the one-year bill continue to rally further. And the CBN released the NTB calendar for Q2 this morning. And we've seen that just in line with our expectations, there are not much bills maturing in Q2 2019. So the CBN will be rolling over just about 400 billion, which will not be sufficient to meet market demand. So sentiments should remain bullish in the Treasury bills market, barring significant OMO sales by the CBN.
Namdi Olusayo from Zcrest Capital. Thank you very much. First call on our fixed income today from FMDQ exchange place. Thank you so much. Let's go to the stock exchange where Temple Ashaji is standing by. The market seems upset with Seplat Petroleum reporting, of course, a very decent revenue, headline revenue for 2018, but earnings per share, basic earnings per share went down to about 26 American cents, US cents, down 45%. Net profit was down to 147 million US dollars. And what's going on? Temple, come in here. You got to help me out. I'm seeing the numbers right now, and Seplat is losing about 3.57% on the counter as we speak this morning. Just 8:30 this morning, Seplat rolled out its earnings to both London and Lagos stock exchanges. He did an analyst conference call earlier today. Looks like the market was not so happy with the bottom line from this E&P company. Let's start from there.
Well, perhaps because they're just waiting to hear the outcome of what that conference call will be all about, because I understand it started between 9:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. this morning, and it looks like that is still ongoing. Again, I think the last dividend that the company paid, 5 cents, was about 5 cents at some time, so there hasn't been any difference between what has been proposed this time by way of final dividend and of course what was proposed or declared rather in the last financial year as well. So maybe that is something that is currently driving the negative performance that we've seen. Again, you know that you have a lot of investors that usually want to buy some of these shares due to capital appreciation. So maybe right now they've seen the capital appreciation at 619 naira per share, and it's just time for them to pull out of the market. Perhaps that's the reason why we're seeing what we're having at this point in time on Seplat, Bosun.
Okay, great. But then if you look at, let's talk a little bit about Nestle. Nestle, the food giant, is just putting its numbers through at the stock exchange. Net profit about 43 billion. That's the net profit. Nestle is coming through. Earnings per share 54 naira 26 kobo, much better than 42 naira 55 kobo, which the company posted last year. This will be some sweet story from this food maker.
Yes, correct, Bosun. It also comes, all of those numbers also came in with some dividends declaration as well, and it's really, really juicy for a lot of investors who understand this market. It's got an interim dividend already declared, 20 naira, and of course we've seen some final dividend of 38 naira, 50 kobo. It is proposed that some 47 billion naira plus of that will now be paid out to investors, you know, when the AGM, the annual general meeting, holds in this year, of course. So it's something that a lot of investors has also priced in to their investments in this particular company. What you'll probably start seeing going forward will be reduction of holding in some of these companies, of course, in a bid to also meet the register of Nestle PLC. But this is something that is really, really impressive. It's an impressive earnings. A lot of investors had factored this into their plans, and it's something that they had foreseen. Seplat, at a point in time, I think hit 1,600 naira per share, and it's still trending in that region right now.
Yeah, Temple, let's wrap this up with Access Bank and Diamond Bank. The shareholder says, thank you, go ahead and have this corporate wedlock. That was yesterday. A massive majority shareholders on both sides says yes. He said, yes, let's go.
97.89% of the shareholders actually voted in favor of the mergers and acquisition, and that represents over 14 billion ordinary shares held by a lot of shareholders, as against just 2.11% of the shareholders that rejected that deal, and that represented 307 million units of the company's shares. You know, so it's something really positive for a lot of investors, given the fact that it's not regulatory induced merger, and the fact that there's a conviction from the management of both banks that they will be seeing some kind of international trade deals coming in from their partners. And of course, we understand that the timeline for the integration of those companies will take place beginning from April the 1st, and it is expected that some 29 million customers will be for this company. And given the 9-month earnings for 2018 that we've seen from both Access Bank and Diamond Bank, that will translate to some 6.1 trillion naira total assets. So it's a juicy one, and that's why investors won't mind, giving their approval for it.
Hold on a second. Temple, thank you so much. We'll look at the juice in that merger, if they're going to serve juice on their wedlock, at their marriage table, at the ceremony. But again, I'm not sure if they served juice yesterday to the shareholders who voted. But that's the juicy package of your business morning today. Shall we have another one tomorrow? Let's have some juice tomorrow, shall we? Thank you. Goodbye from Lagos. I'll see you then.